There's $21 trillion missing, not lost, hidden. And your government knows exactly where it is. Right now, as you watch this, there's more money hidden in offshore accounts than the combined GDP of the United States and China. $21 trillion. That's not a typo. That's not conspiracy theory. That's according to the Tax Justice Network, former IMF economists, and leaked documents from the world's biggest banks. This money doesn't sit in treasure chests. It flows. Through shell companies, through trust structures, through legal systems specifically designed to make it invisible. And here's what nobody tells you. The system that hides this money, it's not run by criminals. It's run by lawyers, accountants, governments, some of the same people who write your tax laws. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Not theory, not speculation. The actual mechanisms, the actual documents, the actual people. By the end of this documentary, you'll understand something most politicians hope you never figure out. Tax havens aren't a bug in the system. They are the system. And it's not hiding anymore. It's hiding in plain sight. Let me tell you about Maria. She's not real, but her story is. Maria works 2 jobs. She pays 22% in federal income tax, plus state tax, plus property tax, plus sales tax. By the time she's done, nearly 40% of what she earns goes to the government. She doesn't complain. She believes in roads, schools, healthcare, the system. Now let me tell you about another person. Let's call him Richard. Richard runs a tech company worth $8 billion. Last year, his company paid 3% in corporate tax. Not 22%, not 40%. 3. Richard isn't evil. He's not even unusual. He's just using the same system that Apple, Google, Amazon, and nearly every Fortune 500 company uses. A system Maria doesn't have access to. A system built on one simple premise. Money can move. People can't. And that difference? That's where $21 trillion disappears. To understand how we got here, you need to go back, not to some ancient conspiracy. To 1969, London. The British Empire was dying. Colonies were gaining independence. Britain's economy was struggling. And the financial center of the world, the city of London, had a problem. New York was rising, capital was fleeing. Britain needed something to stay competitive. So they made a deal. Not publicly. Not in Parliament. Quietly, they allowed their remaining territories, tiny islands most people had never heard of, to become something new. Financial centers with one defining feature. Secrecy. The Cayman Islands. The British Virgin Islands. The British Virgin Islands. Jersey, Guernsey. These weren't accidents of geography, by British lawyers, by British banks to serve British interests, and then American interests, and then everyone's interests. Because once the model existed, it spread. Switzerland had been doing it for decades, with bank secrecy. But these new havens, they added something Switzerland didn't have. Legal invisibility. Not just secret accounts. Secret owners. Secret companies. Secret everything. And it was perfectly legal. Still is. Here's the part that should make you angry. These jurisdictions didn't become tax havens despite their governments. They became tax havens because of their governments. The UK literally wrote the legislation. The US looked the other way because powerful people in both countries wanted exactly what these havens offered. A place to put money where no one could see it. No tax authority. No journalist. No ex-spouse. No one. Okay, theory is boring. Let me show you exactly how this works. Let's say you're a billionaire. You own a company that makes $1 billion in profit. In the US, you'd owe 21% corporate tax. $210 million. You don't want to pay that. Not because you're greedy. Well, maybe, but because your competitors aren't paying it either. So you hire a law firm, one of the big ones. They set up what's called a structure. Step 1. Create a subsidiary in Ireland. Why Ireland? Because Ireland charges 12.5% corporate tax. Already better than 21%. But we're not stopping there. Step 2. Create another subsidiary in the Netherlands. Why? Because of something called a Dutch sandwich. Your Irish company licenses your intellectual property, patents, trademarks, whatever, to your Dutch company. The Dutch company charges your U.S. company huge licensing fees. Those fees are tax deductible in the U.S. So your U.S. profit drops. Your Dutch company collects the money. But here's the trick. The Netherlands has a tax treaty with Ireland that allows royalty payments to flow tax-free between them. So the Dutch company immediately sends the money back to Ireland. Still with me? Step 3. The Irish company doesn't keep the money either. It sends it to another Irish company, but this one isn't really in Ireland. It's tax resident in Bermuda. How? Because Ireland, until recently, allowed companies to be incorporated there but tax resident somewhere else. Bermuda has 0% corporate tax, so now your $1 billion in profit has traveled through 3 countries and landed in a place where it will never be taxed. Legally. Your effective tax rate? Close to 0. This isn't hypothetical. Apple did this for years. It's called the double Irish with a Dutch sandwich. And it saved them billions. The EU eventually forced Ireland to close this loophole in 2015. Companies just found new structures. Malta, Luxembourg, Singapore. The system doesn't die. It evolves. Remember Maria? While she's deciding between paying her electric bill or her daughter's school supplies, Richard's accountant just saved his company more money in one tax structure than Maria will earn in 1,000 lifetimes. And it's legal. That's the part that should haunt you. This isn't tax evasion. It's tax avoidance. One is illegal. One is called smart business. The difference? About $5,000 an hour in legal fees. But here's what I haven't told you yet. Corporations are just the beginning. The real money, the truly hidden money, doesn't belong to companies. It belongs to individuals. And their money doesn't just avoid taxes. It disappears completely. Let's talk about how billionaires hide their personal wealth. Not corporate profits. Personal fortunes. The mechanism is different. More sophisticated. More invisible. It starts with something called a trust. Not the kind your grandmother set up for your college fund. An offshore discretionary trust. Here's how it works. You take your assets, stocks, real estate, cash, art, whatever, and you legally transfer them to a trust. The trust is set up in a place like the Cook Islands, or Nevis, or the Bahamas. Once your assets are in the trust, you technically don't own them anymore. The trust does, head of the crust. But here's the magic. You're the beneficiary of the trust. So you still benefit from the assets. You still control them. But on paper, they're not yours. Why does this matter? Guina said. Because if you don't own the assets, they can't be taxed as yours. They can't be seized in a lawsuit. They can't be divided in a divorce. They're legally untouchable. And the trustee? The person who officially controls the trust? They're required by law in these jurisdictions to keep the beneficiary's identity secret. Even if a court orders them to reveal it, they'll refuse. They'll go to jail first. That's not hyperbole. Trustees in places like Nevis have gone to jail rather than reveal client identities. Because secrecy is their product. If they break it, their entire industry collapses. Now you might be thinking, surely there's some international law against this. There is. Sort of. After the 2008 financial crisis, governments created something called the Common Reporting Standard, CRS. It requires banks to share information about foreign account holders. Sounds good, right? Except the US didn't join it. The biggest tax haven in the world opted out. And even in countries that did join, there are exceptions. Trusts are one of them. In many jurisdictions, trusts don't have to be reported under CRS. So the system designed to stop tax haven abuse has a loophole specifically for the richest people. Here's something that'll blow your mind. The largest tax haven in the world isn't the Cayman Islands. It's not Switzerland. It's not even in the Caribbean. It's Delaware, South Dakota, Nevada, the United States. That's right. While the U.S. government lectures other countries about tax transparency, U.S. states are quietly offering the exact same secrecy services. For a $200 filing fee, You can create an LLC in Delaware with complete ownership anonymity, no disclosure requirements, no reporting, nothing. Russian oligarchs use Delaware. Chinese billionaires use South Dakota. European tax dodgers use Nevada. And the U.S. government, they do nothing. Because these states make billions from incorporation fees. And powerful people benefit from the secrecy. This isn't conspiracy. This is documented. The Pandora Papers proved it. The Panama Papers proved it. But nothing changed. Want to know why? Let's talk about who makes this system run. Because tax havens don't work without enablers. The big four accounting firms, Deloitte, PwC Ernst, and AMP, Young, KPMG. These firms don't just audit companies. They design tax structures. They have entire departments dedicated to tax optimization. That's corporate speak for how to pay less tax. They employ thousands of lawyers and accountants who do nothing but find gaps in tax law. And when governments close those gaps, they find new ones. It's a game, a lucrative one. These firms make billions doing this. Then there are the law firms. Magic circle firms in London. White shoe firms in New York. They draft the trust documents. They create the shell companies. They lobby governments to keep the laws favorable. Some of these lawyers go on to become politicians, or regulators, or judges. There's a revolving door between the firms that exploit tax havens and the government agencies supposed to regulate them. And then there are the banks. HSBC, Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, UBS. Every major financial institution has been caught helping clients evade taxes. They pay fines, billions in fines, but no one goes to jail. And the fines? They're just a cost of doing business. A few billion in fines when you're making tens of billions helping clients hide money? That's not a deterrent, that's a transaction fee. Here's the most disturbing part. All of this is legal. These firms aren't breaking the law. They're following it, exploiting it, and when they do break it, the penalties are so small it doesn't matter. In 2012, HSBC was caught laundering money for drug cartels and terrorists. The fine? $1.9 billion. Sounds like a lot. Until you realize HSBC made $22 billion that year. And no executives went to jail. None. The Department of Justice said prosecuting them would threaten the stability of the financial system. Too big to jail. That's the actual defense. Let me put a number on this that'll make you sick. If you earn $50,000 a year and pay 25% in taxes, you pay $12,500. If you're a billionaire using offshore structures and pay 3% effective tax rate on $1 billion, that's $30 million. Sounds like more, right? But proportionally, you're paying 8 times more of your income than they are. And that $970 million they didn't pay? That could fund 32,000 teachers' salaries, or 19,000 nurses, or rebuild 200 schools. But instead, it's sitting in an account in the Caymans, earning interest. For someone who already has more than they could spend in 10 lifetimes, this is why hospitals are underfunded, why schools are crumbling, why infrastructure is collapsing. Not because there isn't enough money, because the people with the most money have found legal ways to not contribute. And your government lets them. Why? This is the question everyone asks. If this is such a problem, why don't governments just stop it? Simple answer? Because the people in government benefit from the system. Let me show you how. Campaign contributions. In the U.S., corporations and billionaires donate billions to political campaigns. Both parties. And what do they want in return? Not higher taxes. The politicians who receive this money aren't going to bite the hand that feeds them. Then there's the revolving door. Politicians leave office and join the boards of the same companies that use tax havens. Treasury secretaries become bank executives. Tax committee members become consultants for accounting firms. They're not going to dismantle a system they're about to profit from. But it's deeper than corruption. It's competition. Countries compete for capital. If Ireland raises its corporate tax rate, companies move to Luxembourg. If Luxembourg cracks down, they move to Singapore. This is called a race to the bottom. And no country wants to be the one that loses business. So they keep taxes low. They keep secrecy high, and they hope someone else fixes the problem. But no one does. Because every country is playing the same game. even the countries that publicly oppose tax havens. The UK lectures Caribbean islands about transparency, while the City of London operates as one of the most opaque financial centers in the world. The US pushes for CRS globally, while refusing to join it themselves. France cracks down on tax evasion, while offering special tax regimes to attract wealthy foreigners. Everyone condemns the system. No one actually stops it. Because stopping it requires something no country is willing to do: sacrifice economic advantage. You know what's insane? We know about all of this. It's not secret. The Panama Papers leaked in 2016. 11.5 million documents. Names of world leaders, celebrities, billionaires. The Pandora Papers leaked in 2021. Even bigger. 12 million documents. Current and former heads of state. Everyone saw it. Everyone was outraged. For about 2 weeks. And then, nothing. A few politicians resigned. A couple of minor prosecutions. But the system? Still there. Still running. Still hiding. $21 trillion. Because exposing the problem isn't the same as solving it. And solving it requires something more than leaks. It requires political will, which brings me to the most important question. Can this system actually be stopped? Let's talk about solutions. Not the fantasy ones. The real ones. The ones that could actually work. But won't happen. Solution 1. A global minimum tax. In 2021, 130 countries agreed to a global minimum corporate tax of 15%. The idea is simple. If every country charges at least 15%, companies can't play them against each other. Sounds good, right? Except 15% is still lower than most developed countries charge. And the agreement has so many loopholes, it's barely enforceable. And countries like Ireland and Hungary are already resisting implementation. So even when countries agree on a solution, they don't actually implement it. Solution 2. Public ownership registries. Require every company and trust to publicly disclose its true owners. No more shell companies. No more anonymous trusts. Full transparency. The UK actually did this in 2016. Created a public registry of company ownership. It worked. For about 6 years. Then, in 2022, the UK Supreme Court ruled that parts of the registry violated privacy rights. So even successful reforms get rolled back. Solution 3. Unitary taxation. Instead of taxing companies where they claim profits, tax them based on where they actually do business. If Apple sells $100 billion of iPhones in the US, they pay US taxes on that revenue. They can't shift it to Ireland. Sounds simple. It is. But it requires countries to cooperate, to agree on how to split tax revenue, to trust each other. That's not happening. Solution 4. Wealth taxes. Tax wealth, not just income. If you're worth $10 billion, you pay 2% annually. That's $200 million a year. Can't hide it in a trust. Can't shift it offshore. It's yours, you pay. Several countries have tried this. France, Spain, Sweden. All of them repealed it. Why? Because wealthy people left, took their wealth to countries without wealth taxes. And the countries that kept the wealth tax? They collected less revenue than before. Because fewer rich people stayed. See the pattern? Every solution requires global cooperation. And global cooperation requires countries to sacrifice their competitive advantage. Which no one will do. Stuck. I know what you're thinking right now. This is hopeless. Nothing will ever change. The system is too big. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is. But here's something they don't want you to know. This system only works because regular people don't understand it. It hides in complexity, in jargon, in the assumption that if something is legal, it must be okay. But you understand it now. You see how the pieces fit together. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That matters. More than you think. Because the only thing more powerful than money is information. And you have it now. Let's talk about what $21 trillion actually means. Because it's easy to throw around numbers that big and not process them. $21 trillion. That's the entire U.S. national debt. Or the annual GDP of the U.S. Or enough to give every person on earth $2.500. Just sitting there. Hidden. Untaxed. But let's make it more personal. Let's talk about what that money could do. If even 10% of that hidden wealth were taxed at 20%, that's $420 billion in annual revenue. What could $420 billion do? It could end homelessness in the U.S. Estimated cost: $20 billion annually. Provide free universal childcare in the U.S. Estimated cost: $40 billion annually. Forgive all medical debt in the U.S. One-time cost: $140 billion. Fix America's crumbling infrastructure. Estimated cost: $200 billion annually. And still have money left over. But instead, that money is in accounts, earning interest for people who already have more than they need. Let me tell you about someone real. Her name was Linda. She was a teacher in Oklahoma. For 30 years, she taught 4th grade. She bought supplies for her students with her own money because the school couldn't afford them. And in 2018, she joined a teacher strike. Not for higher pay, for basic supplies, books, pencils, working air conditioning. Oklahoma is one of the wealthiest states in the U.S., but it ranks 48th in teacher pay. Why? Because Oklahoma slashed taxes to attract business. Compete with Texas. Ed. Linda died in 2022. She was 58. Too young. She had a heart attack. Stress, the doctor said. Years of working 2 jobs to make ends meet, while companies that could afford to pay more taxes used Oklahoma's low rates and then shifted their profits offshore anyway. Linda's story isn't unique. There are millions of Lindas. Nurses working double shifts because hospitals are understaffed. Infrastructure workers watching bridges collapse because there's no money to fix them. Parents choosing between food and medicine because social services are underfunded, all while $21 trillion sits hidden. This isn't an accounting problem. It's a moral one. Here's the part where I'm supposed to tell you there's hope. That change is possible. That if we just vote the right way or sign the right petition, this will all get fixed. I'm not going to tell you that. Because it's not true. Not yet. This system has existed for 60 years. It's survived scandals, leaks, public outrage, economic crashes. It's not going anywhere. Not without something bigger. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. It just means the power isn't where you think it is. You can't change tax law. You can't force governments to cooperate. You can't shut down the Cayman Islands. But you can do something else. Something they actually fear. You can stop playing the game. Let me explain. The system depends on something fragile. Legitimacy. Regular people believing that the system is fair, that everyone pays their share, that wealth is earned, not extracted. Once that belief breaks, the system becomes unstable. Not immediately, but gradually. It's already happening. Public trust in institutions is at an all-time low. People don't believe corporations pay their fair share. They don't believe billionaires earn their wealth fairly. They don't believe the system works for them. And when enough people stop believing, the system loses its power, not because it's illegal, but because it's illegitimate. So what can you actually do? 1. Stop supporting companies that aggressively avoid taxes. You can't avoid them all. But you can choose. Buy from companies that pay their taxes. Support local businesses. Every dollar you spend is a vote. 2. Demand transparency. If you work for a company, ask questions. Where are the profits going? What's the effective tax rate? Push for public reporting. 3. Vote for politicians who actually support reform. Not the ones who talk about it, the ones who propose specific legislation. Public ownership registries. Minimum corporate tax rates. Enforcement funding for the IRS. 4. Educate others. Share what you've learned. Talk about it. Write about it. The system thrives on complexity, on people not understanding it. Break that. 5. Support investigative journalism. The Panama Papers happened because journalists spent years investigating. The Pandora Papers happened because someone leaked documents, and journalists made sense of them. That work is expensive. Support the organizations doing it. These aren't revolutionary acts. They're not going to topple the system tomorrow. But they shift the ground. They change what's acceptable, what's normal. And over time, that matters. Every major social change in history seemed impossible. until it wasn't. Slavery was the foundation of the economy, until it ended. Women couldn't vote, until they could. Workers had no rights, until they fought for them. Child labor was normal, until it wasn't. Every single time, powerful people said, "This is how things are. This is how they have to be." Changing it would destroy the economy. They were wrong every time. Not because the problems solved themselves, but because enough people decided they weren't acceptable anymore. This system is the same, it feels. Inevitable. Too big to change. It's not. It's a choice. Made by people. And what people chose to create, people can choose to end. Let me tell you about the people who are actually fighting back. Not with protests, not with petitions, with action. John Doe. Not his real name. In 2016, he was a lawyer working for a Panamanian law firm called Mossack Fonseca. He saw what the firm was doing. Creating shell companies for criminals, hiding money for dictators, helping billionaires evade taxes. He could have stayed quiet, collected his paycheck, looked the other way, handshake kid. Instead, he leaked 11.5 million documents to journalists. The Panama Papers. He risked his career, his freedom, his life. Because he believed people deserved to know. The leak exposed hundreds of politicians and billionaires, led to criminal investigations in dozens of countries, changed laws. One person, one choice. Prem Sikka, a professor of accounting in the UK. For 30 years, he's been exposing how accounting firms help companies avoid taxes. He's testified before Parliament, written hundreds of articles, been threatened, sued. He keeps going because someone has to say it. The Tax Justice Network, a small organization of economists and lawyers. They're the ones who calculated the $21 trillion figure. They track tax havens, publish reports, push for reform. They have no political power, no enforcement authority, just information. And they use it. Margrethe Vestager, EU Competition Commissioner. She went after Apple, ordered them to pay $14 billion in back taxes to Ireland. Ireland didn't even want the money because they were afraid Apple would leave, but Vestager forced them to take it. She's gone after Google, Amazon, Facebook. Every time she faces massive lobbying, threats, political pressure, she keeps going because someone has to. These people aren't heroes. They're not superhuman. They're just people who decided that understanding the problem wasn't enough. They had to do something, and they did. You might not be able to do what they did, but you can do something. That's the point. This system doesn't crumble because one person fights it. It crumbles because millions of people make small choices that add up. There's a concept in physics called a phase transition. It's when a system reaches a critical point and suddenly changes state. Ice to water, water to steam. It doesn't happen gradually. It happens all at once. Society works the same way. Change feels impossible. Until suddenly, it isn't. Until the weight of collective action reaches a critical mass. And then everything shifts. We might be close to that point. Wealth inequality is at levels not seen since the 1920s. Public anger is rising. Trust in institutions is collapsing. The system is more fragile than it looks. One more scandal, one more leak, one more crisis, and something might break. Not the whole system, but enough of it to matter. The question is, when that moment comes, will you be ready? Let's zoom out, because this isn't just about tax havens. It's about something bigger. A fundamental question. What is money? For most of human history, money was physical. Gold, silver, something you could hold. Then we moved to paper currency, backed by gold, then backed by nothing. Just a promise from a government. And now, money is digital, numbers in a computer, moving at the speed of light. Across borders, through systems, invisible. Tax havens are a symptom of this transition. When money becomes pure information, It becomes infinitely mobile and infinitely hideable. The rules we built for physical currency don't apply. You can't smuggle $1 billion across a border in a suitcase, but you can transfer it digitally in seconds to anywhere through any number of intermediaries. And no one can stop it. This is why the old solutions don't work. Border controls, physical inspections, traditional auditing. They're designed for a world where money was physical. We're not in that world anymore. So what's the real solution? Some people say, blockchain. Make every transaction transparent and permanent. Maybe. Others say, central bank digital currencies, government-controlled digital money that can't be hidden. Maybe. Others say, forget it all. Abandon the nation-state model of taxation. Create global systems. Maybe. But here's what I think. The solution isn't technical. It's philosophical. We have to decide what we believe money is for. Is it a tool for human flourishing or a mechanism for accumulation? Is an economy successful when it creates the most wealth or when it distributes it fairly? Is it okay for someone to have $1 billion while others starve? These aren't economic questions. They're moral ones. And we've been pretending they're not. Hiding behind complexity, behind legality, behind that's just how the system works. But systems are built by people. And people can build different ones. The question is, what do we actually want? Not what's possible, not what's legal, what's right. Because once you answer that question, everything else is just logistics. I want you to think about something. There's a kid right now. Smart, talented, full of potential. But she's going to a school with no supplies, no art program, no music, class sizes so big the teacher can't give her attention. She'll probably drop out. Not because she's not smart enough. Because the system failed her. Meanwhile, there's a boardroom where lawyers are restructuring $1 billion trust, saving their client millions in taxes. Money that could have funded that school, that teacher, that kid's future. But it won't, because the system has priorities. And kids like her aren't one of them. That should make you angry. It should keep you up at night, because it's a choice we're all complicit in. By not demanding better, by accepting that's just how it is. So here's my question for you. What are you going to do about it? Let's talk about where this goes. Not where it should go, where it will go. Scenario 1. Nothing changes. This is the most likely scenario. The system continues. More leaks happen. More scandals. More outrage. But nothing fundamental changes. Wealth inequality keeps growing. Public services keep deteriorating. Populism keeps rising. Eventually, something breaks. Not the tax haven system. Democracy. Because when people stop believing the system is fair, they stop supporting it. That's how democracies die. Not through coups, through exhaustion. Scenario 2. Technological disruption. Cryptocurrency becomes mainstream, not Bitcoin. Something else. A truly decentralized currency that can't be controlled, can't be taxed, can't be tracked. In this scenario, tax havens become obsolete, not because we regulate them, because everyone becomes their own tax haven. Governments lose the ability to tax effectively. They collapse. Or they adapt, create new systems, maybe better ones, maybe worse. Scenario 3. Global cooperation. Countries actually work together, implement real reforms, close loopholes, enforce transparency. This requires a crisis, something big enough that cooperation becomes necessary. A global pandemic? Maybe. A climate catastrophe. A financial collapse worse than 2008, something that makes the status quo untenable. In this scenario, we might actually fix the system. Create real international tax coordination. End the race to the bottom. Build something fairer. Scenario 4. Revolution. Not the violent kind, the systemic kind. People simply stop participating in the current system. Stop working for companies that dodge taxes. Stop buying from them. Stop voting for politicians who enable them. Create alternative systems. Mutual aid networks. Cooperative businesses. Local currencies. It starts small, in communities. But it spreads. And eventually, the old system becomes irrelevant. Not because it was defeated. Because it was abandoned. I don't know which scenario will happen, maybe none of them. Maybe something I can't imagine. But I know this. The current system can't last forever. Systems that concentrate wealth and power always collapse. Eventually. The question is what replaces them? And that's up to us. I started this documentary with a number. $21 trillion. That's the money hidden in tax havens. But that's not what this is really about. It's not about money. It's about what money represents. Power. Choice. Freedom. The ability to live with dignity. To send your kids to good schools. To retire without fear. To get sick without going bankrupt. To have a future. When that money disappears into tax havens, it's not just numbers on a screen. It's teachers laid off, hospitals closed, infrastructure crumbling, futures stolen. And the people whose money it is, they'll never miss it. They'll never spend it. They just want to keep it, not for any purpose, just to have. That should break your heart. It breaks mine. Because we could be so much better than this. We have the resources, the technology, the knowledge. We have everything we need to create a world where everyone has enough. Except the will to do it. That's the only thing missing. Will. And that's something money can't buy. Only you can provide it. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow. Right now. Take 10 seconds and think about one thing you can do differently. One company you can stop supporting. One conversation you can have. One politician you can pressure. One choice you can make. Just one. That's all. Because if everyone watching this makes one small choice, that's millions of choices. And millions of choices become movements. And movements change the world. The system wants you to feel powerless. Overwhelmed, like there's nothing you can do. That's a lie. The only power they have is the power you give them. Take it back. This is just the beginning. In the next video, I'm going to show you something even more disturbing. The secret network of lawyers and accountants who designed this entire system, who they work for, how much they're paid, and why some of them are starting to speak out. You won't believe what they told me. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Because once you see who's really pulling the strings, you'll never look at your government the same way again.